right, cool. Joe Sanchez.
Chris Headshots.
Welcome to Hanging with Headshots.
I love it.
Um,
I have to really compliment you, by the way. Like the work that you've been doing, it seems like you've just vastly improved your network. Like you just continue to like get these big people, these big names. What's been your secret? Like, how do you do that?
one headshot at a time. That's it. Just like making sure that every customer is taken care of. And if they're not happy, guaranteeing it. For example, if you weren't happy with your images, come back. If you used my hair and makeup team, if you're a female and you weren't happy with the images afterwards, come back. I'll pay for your hair and makeup team to make it work. And so I've done that over the last 15 years, right? 15? Yeah, over the last 15 years. And just one headshot at a time. And I assume that's how all good business is done.
Well, there's a book called Focus by Al Rees. It came out like in the 90s, and it's all about concentration is the key to all economic success, which is what Peter Drucker said, and this book kind of amplifies that. But it makes sense, man. What does Florida have more of than any other state, I think? Realtors. And what do they need? Headshots.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Literally brilliant. So I was like, and it's right in the title. So I'm sure you thought of that. I just wanted to compliment you on your business acumen because you know your stuff. So I think that's really cool.
Thank you very much, brother.
Yeah, man.
I had you on because I want to know more about what it is that you do.
Okay.
I'm under the impression that you help people if they've gotten into a DUI. The company is DUIGuys.com.
Yep.
Is it DUIGuysFlorida.com?
Yep. DUIGuysFL.com.
Okay.
And what we do is we connect people that are charged with DUI with highly skilled DUI defense attorneys anywhere throughout the state of Florida. And we're growing. We'll be in other states soon. But yeah, for the state of Florida, that's what we do. And I'm very privileged to do what I do because when people call me, it's usually their worst day. Like they have just been arrested. A lot of our clients have no prior criminal history. Sometimes cops aren't very friendly and handcuffs hurt and your car's crashed and life sucks and now you're in jail waiting to hopefully be released and you don't know what to expect or whatever. So then the next day it's their worst day. And I tell them that. I'm like, look, dude, today's your worst day. But the good news is that you found us and I'm going to give you a couple of steps to help you get on your way.
How are they currently finding you?
Right now online, basically we have a pretty strong campaign online, but we pretty much just launched down here in Florida. Up in New York and in New Jersey where I work with other attorneys, they pretty much find the attorneys that I work with because they're so reputable. They have such a high pedigree of experience in DWI defense. It's what it's called up in New York. Down here is just DUI. But yeah, so they're just in high demand. And I've been doing this for a long time, for over 18 years.
Can you give me an example of one of the stories that you've heard?
Well, I just got off the phone right before coming in here. It was a young lady. She left a bar. She was hanging out with her friends. She's an exotic dancer.
They drink too?
Yeah, exactly. She was partying it up and drove home or tried to. And on the way, crashed her car, hit somebody's fence and did damage to their home. And the cops showed up, placed her under arrest, and she's never been in trouble before. But she also is taking care of her son and has sole custody. So now she's just in a world of trouble. And she blew sky high, like 3 times over the intoxicated limit. So 0.08 is too drunk to drive. 0.16 is double the intoxicated limit. In New York, we have something called aggravated DWI, which happens at 0.18. She was way over that. She was 0.3 something. And a lot of people are very quick to judge and say, hey, you know what? Screw her. She shouldn't have been doing that. But the reality is that I talk to people, like I said, with usually no prior criminal record. I am of the belief that it could happen to just about anyone.
Has it ever happened to you?
No, I've never been arrested and charged with DWI, but have I driven drunk before? And unfortunately, the answer is yeah, tons of times.
How'd you get into this?
Completely by accident. It's actually a goofy story, but an attorney that I worked with before I was handling his marketing. And what I did was he needed my role because we were advertising his firm on the radio. So people were calling him up day and night. And he's, dude, I can't freaking answer all of these questions in the middle of the night. And then I said, I'll do it. I'll help you with this. And started that position. But it was pretty tough because I didn't know the law. I'm not an attorney. So from that perspective of what to tell these people, I had to figure it out. And I worked at it for a long time. to be able to give the best advice that I can, but not legal advice.
And what are like, let's just role play for a second. Ring, I call you, hey dude, I just got into a crappy car accident and this woman did, like, how does that typically play out?
Basically, a couple of things. I have to figure out the severity of what we're looking at. Is it their first time? How high did they blow? Because the higher the BAC, the more consequences and penalties that you have, even here in Florida. If you blow 0.15 or higher, then it becomes a tougher DUI to deal with.
What do you mean by tougher?
Well, more penalties. You can go to jail for up to 9 months, and the fines are bigger, stuff like that.
How big are the fines?
Oh, up to $1,000, on a first time DUI. And then there's surcharges for the court and stuff like that. So there's a lot of other stuff that's at play as well. But yeah, basically, I'd want to find out like where are you charged, because that matters. The geography, some counties are tougher than other counties. You'd want to find that out. And then you want to find out, the real thing is to find out how is this DUI going to affect this person's life? So you're Chris Headshots. Not everyone just comes to see you to get their headshots, correct? You have to go and drive to their location. Now think about this. You can go and rob a bank, right? So you make bail and then be able to go and perform your duties the following day. If you get a DUI, your license is going to be taken away and now you can't drive. And a lot of times that's a big deal, because I was talking to a cab driver from New York City just yesterday. He retained one of my attorneys that I work with. And his whole family's like counting on, he's an immigrant. He's been here for a few years, and it's very difficult to get that medallion and become a cab driver and all that other stuff in New York. That's what he's doing now. So like now he's really freaking out, like, how the hell am I going to get out of this? How am I going to provide for my family, et cetera? So a DUI doesn't just really hurt the person charged. It hurts everyone that's associated with that person and their livelihood and stuff like that, and relationships. But yeah, we find that a lot.
Is there a possibility to get and I know this is not legal advice, but is there a possibility to get your driver's license not suspended for work?
There are special licenses that a lot of times you can get. Here in Florida, they call that a hardship license. In New York and New Jersey, they call that conditional licenses. But yeah, you are able to, if you qualify, if it's your first one. If we're talking to somebody that has 2 or 3 of them or 10 of them, which I've spoken to those people too, their licenses are usually just yanked and they can't drive anywhere in the continental United States. Life sucks. And again, we're talking about addiction a lot of the times too. We're talking 2 things, right? One is a mistake. It can happen to anybody. Chris, 90% of Americans drink alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And the majority of us have a set of car keys.
Yeah.
And it is legal to go to a bar, have a couple of drinks, and drive home. It's just that everyone's limit is different. So I talk to people that are celebrating their anniversary and they had 1 glass of wine with dinner. Or sometimes it's not even alcohol. It's actually drugs, like marijuana, but like your prescription medication. Oh, I'm prescribed Adderall, officer. Oh, well, you look a little high. Step out of the car. And the next thing, you're getting a driving under impairment.
For Adderall?
For drugs, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Your prescription medication. You could have a Benadryl. It's over the counter. But if you're sleepy and acting a little off, have you ever taken a Benadryl? It makes it, you've got an itch or whatever, right? Yeah, you can get a DUI that way too. Any degree of impairment due to medication, whether prescription or over-the-counter, NyQuil, can get you on. I've talked actually to people at home, man, that take the sleep medication, Ambien.
Oh, yeah.
They take Ambien. They have a couple of drinks. Imagine this. You're in your home. That's the last thing you remember. And then you wake up in a jail cell.
This happened to your clients before?
Oh, yeah. 100.
Oh, wow.
I hear it so often. And I'm like, what is in this Ambien? And I could only equate it. Remember when the Hulk would wake up like in a meadow or something?
Yeah.
like, what did I do?
Or like a werewolf.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the werewolf, the American Werewolf in London. He wake up at the zoo. He's like, what the fuck happened? Like, why am I here? That's pretty much what they can equate it to. They just have no idea, complete. And they're driving, stopping at a drive-through. Oh, that's another thing. People falling asleep at the drive-through. That happens more often than you would. And the employees are calling the cops. Somebody fell asleep. They passed out. So the stories go on and on.
Give me another one.
Geez. Well, let's see. We're talking to somebody that was he was in He got into an argument with his girlfriend. He's driving on, and you know how, and this is one of the reasons of how most people can get a DUI is that they pull over to the side of the road. Okay. Sometimes people are thinking to make a phone call. I'm being responsible. I pulled off to the side of the road, the emergency lane, or I'm lost, or I'm having a discussion with my partner. Well, that's illegal in the sense that the emergency lane is for emergencies only. You blew your tire, you're having engine trouble, you're having a medical issue, right?
Right.
So that's an open invite for the cops to come in and pull up behind you and say, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Can I render assistance? And have you been drinking? That's usually how it turns. So this guy, this poor kid, he's getting into a fight with his girlfriend. They're arguing, and then before you know it, she punches him, knocks off his glasses, and he pulls the car over, gets out of the car, and then goes and walks into the woods. Unfortunately, the cops showed up. They got him out of the woods. They didn't do any field sobriety tests, no testing on him. He refused everything. They placed him under arrest. And it's not clear, but it sounds like his girlfriend was assaulted and he's being charged with that, with assault, which is a felony because he knocked out her tooth. We're talking about pretty horrific stories that a lot of times lend themselves to bad behavior from people, but it all comes with the territory. That, and sometimes people die. We're talking about vehicular assaults or vehicular manslaughter, vehicular homicide if the DA wants to really prosecute somebody because their BAC was so high that they felt like we're going to go after these people.
BAC is blood alcohol
blood
level.
alcohol content.
Oh,
yeah.
content.
Yeah. Here it's BAL, right? Blood alcohol levels. What's your policy? You don't drink alcohol anymore, right?
So I just recently slowed down very heavily.
Explain this to me.
My girlfriend's a bartender.
Love her already.
Yeah, she would. Alcohol was just freely available. And when it's freely available and it doesn't cost you anything other than the inebriation or the hangover, you tend to like just let it flow. And I was just letting it flow. And I decided I needed a change in my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym.
I saw that.
And so I'm back on my shit, which is nice. I got her out of the bar industry. She got herself out, but I suggested it and she went with it. And now she's a full-time photographer and we're not drinking often. We'll do celebrations. I went out, had a wild night at a strip club, but before that it was a birthday party. And birthday party was really good. I didn't drink any alcohol at the birthday party. And then we ended up at the strip club and I had a good amount of alcohol because it was free flowing again. We were friends with the DJ.
Yeah.
And it just...
Listen, I'm tempted all the time.
One thing leads to another. But yeah, fortunately, didn't need to make a phone call to the DUI guys, Florida.com.
That's okay.
But
you could have called and just say hi.
yeah.
I want to say hi to Joe Sanchez. He's my boy. And please talk like an old black man as you call me, because that would just be cool.
I'll get MP to do that
I
for
get
me.
NPR. Like, I get it. Like, for me, it's been since January 15th. I haven't had anything to drink. So that's, 7 months. But I did it because I launched this company and I have to be, it's not just me, it's a couple of other really highly talented people that are my partners. So I have to just be 100% present. My goal is like, all right, once I get to a certain sales goal, I'll celebrate.
Then you'll have a drink.
Yeah, but so far I don't miss it.
I don't feel like drinking really enhances anything except bad behavior. And part of my problem is I'm really good at bad behavior. And in order to be able to...
What's bad behavior?
Bad behavior is...
You're not turning road signs. Are we talking about relationship things?
I pulled my out at the strip club.
Okay.
Granted, the owner and a few strippers asked me to do it, but I did it for $100 off rip first. They were like, pull out your... And I was just like, yeah. Sober me wouldn't have done that.
Right.
But drunk me is, I'm showing you my... And yeah. It ended up turning into $300, and then I ended up giving it to the strippers, so it ended up working out great. But
you must be packing if they got $300 out of it.
Oh, man, I was so flaccid. I don't even know if I couldn't see because that's how drunk I was. But... That's what I heard anyway.
See, I don't know. When I was younger, I'd drink alcohol and I would want to have sex. I just super horned up.
Yeah.
Now, at my age, I'm thinking about pizza and
Sleep.
It's like the last time I was at a strip club was with my friend that you met, Marcus.
Marcus.
Right. We went and I forget where we went. Cheetahs or something. Scarlett's. I don't know where we were at. I was drunk. We Ubered there. And then he's all about it. And I went to the bar and I just ordered all this food. I was more interested in the food at the nasty ass strip club. That's how drunk I was.
The strip club food though is pretty fire. I
It
ain't
was
gonna-
pretty great. I don't know if I loved it because I was drunk or so Marcus is getting lap dances and stuff. And I'm just sitting there just like a big old hamburger.
full four-course meal.
Yeah. And then the girl that was like with him, they hang out with you.
Yeah, as they should. That's
Right.
by the way, the best thing to do. You go to a strip club is to invite them over for food and drinks.
Well, I think would imagine that it would take some of the pressure off. Hey, we're human. Let's have this. It's not just, hey, baby, do you want to dance? And that sort of fake sexuality that the best ones do it with a degree of sincerity where you think, hey, I think she really likes me.
Yeah, I feel like they all like me. That's the problem.
Where if you're whipping it out, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, no. It was the money that did it.
Well, did your girlfriend?
Oh, she approved.
Oh,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
approved
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go to the club with you
Yeah,
guys.
we're a good time. The problem with alcohol is that we're a good time. When alcohol is flowing, our inhibitions get loose, and as everybody's do, but we're wild. We like to have a very good time.
Dude, that's awesome.
And too much of a good time can be a bad thing, and you could end up getting pulled over. And needing
No,
to
well,
call.
yeah. But tell me, after you experience that, right? You go through that, you have that time. What aside from just like hangover and shit?
Just
like,
hangover.
That's the only downside? So you guys never regret like waking up the next day saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that, or I shouldn't have done that.
So we've gotten into some of our biggest arguments during alcohol moments, but for the most part, man, it's so good. The last 3 years have been awesome. Like, no problems, even with the alcohol. But the bigger, I don't know. I shouldn't have been pulling my out last. It wasn't last night, but it was two nights ago.
Right.
These are things that, had it not been at a strip club and had it not been at this place, would not have been appropriate.
If you're at the zoo, there'd be a problem there.
Right. Even just like the local bar
Right.
downtown. That's the type of thing that gets you kicked out real
Sure,
quick.
of course.
And not to say that's the type of thing that I do on a regular basis, but I grew up watching Steve-O and the guys on
From Jackass?
from Jackass, and it's just wild boy shit. And when I'm drunk, I turn into that guy a little bit. And,
It's all right.
but my big goal is to avoid that, get beefier, stay in the gym.
What's your routine now?
We're doing 5 a.m.s.
Who's we? You and your
Her-
girlfriend?
Yep,
Okay.
her and I.
So you get up at 5? Do you have a
yep.
cup of coffee?
5
or
a.m. We do coffee. We chill outside for a little bit. We launch some bows and arrows in the backyard, and then
Real archery?
I got a
Okay.
Cherokee bow and arrow, which is a short bow.
Mm-hmm.
The type that they used to use. I'm sorry, is it Cherokee? No, Comanche.
Oh, Comanche.
Comanche. And so
Well, they were known for their
Yes.
riding and archery. Okay, that
and
makes sense.
so,
Yeah.
After listening to Joe Rogan and then watching, I forget the guy who does this archery, but he would basically said that it was the type of bow that you could use to be able to shoot the most or the fastest amount of arrows from, and incredibly accurate. I am nuts, but I am hitting the target. So
That's good.
That's very positive.
So you do some archery, then what?
We eat some breakfast. She made eggs, sausage, links, and a protein shake this morning, and then head to the gym. Today we did
What
arms
you're
and
like?
back.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm all over the place. I only really do 10 exercises, which I follow off of this guy's thing. I'll pull it up real quick so that way. Boom.
Where do you work out at?
We're in 24-hour fitness right now.
Where's that? On.
Plantation,
Oh, okay.
historic Plantation Acres
Okay.
is where I'm living at.
Okay.
Not to dox myself, but here, let me just pull this up real quick. Boom. Settings. Saved. Boom. It's under workout. Boom, boom. Wrong page. Boom. I have too many Instagrams. Boom. QR code saved. Boom. I literally have to do this every time I go to workout, which is annoying, but here it is. Boom. Ryan Terry. I'll put it up in the thing.
Okay. All big compound exercises and movements. That's fantastic. That'll work for you, man.
I'm just sticking to this right this second. Boom. Pause.
As long as you challenge yourself, that's ultimately the key. I'm no expert, but I've been working out for a long time. I should be in better shape. And I was before COVID. Then
COVID wrecked all of us.
they
man.
shut the gyms down in New York forever, and I just started drinking a lot more myself. I'd get together with friends, and just one bottle of wine became 2 and then 3, and then it became more often because it wasn't just a Friday, Saturday thing. It became more during the week. And then I put on body fat, man, and it was just, and I literally had to stop drinking alcohol and do intermittent fasting and follow a keto plan. And that's how I lived my life beforehand anyway, before COVID. But now it's getting back to that, and I'm starting to get to the shape that I was in before.
Can you tell me a little bit about success stories of people who have been involved with you?
Yeah, man. I think that what I bring to any sort of operation is just the real want to have that person succeed. What I've been able to do over the 18 years that I've been opening up these cases for the attorneys that I work with is I've generated over $150 million in gross legal sales. I've created some of the biggest brands nationally for DUI, DWI defense. Granted, it all had with that initial idea for the marketing aspect, and then the
I meant for the clients, bro.
yeah, not the attorneys.
Yeah, not the attorneys. Good on you though.
Yeah,
But I want to know what happens.
it's a daily fulfillment, man. People call, and like I said, they're at their worst, or maybe they're having their worst day at this point. This shit just happened.
No, I think what I'm trying to ask is like
The outcomes.
yeah.
After they're done talking to me, they feel so much better about their situation. They realize they fucked up and or that they're in a really tough situation. But afterwards, I give them a lot of clarity and empathy and understanding because I don't judge these people. They're no better than me. How can they be? They're no one's better than anyone, right?
Right.
And I appreciate.
I'm better than everyone.
Chris headshot.
No, just kidding.
But you know the
we're all
point,
human.
yeah, man, 100%. And that I think is my superpower is that I love people and I really want to be of service to them. Even, and here's a big secret, even if they don't hire the firm that I'm working with representing, it doesn't matter to me. I'm more interested in being of service to that person because sometimes they can't afford us. Sometimes they already have another lawyer or somebody else is recommending. I'm like, listen, man, God bless you. I hope everything turns out well. If I can be of service, just reach out to me. But a lot of times we've been able to get, in most cases, the case is reduced, maybe even completely dismissed because the attorneys that I align myself with are real experts at being able to handle those DUIs. So most lawyers will look at this as a very transactional thing. You get a DUI, you blow this, you do this, and this is what the outcome is. That's not really real DUI defense. It's not criminal defense. Criminal defense happens when the attorney challenges the validity of the arrest altogether. That's it. When you're able to suppress the way that they came to the conclusion that your client was too drunk to drive. So a great lawyer, a lot of times, are able to suppress statements made by the individual, eliminate things like field sobriety tests, which are misadministered by the cops 97% of the time. So whenever you see people doing these tests on the side of the road, usually the officers are not administering them correctly, not the original way that was intended by the people that developed those tests, the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. And breathalyzers, they're not accurate. And in many states, you don't blow. Like here in Florida, the rule of thumb that I hear from our attorneys is that you don't blow. First time DUI, you don't blow. In New York, you do blow so that you don't have your license taken away for a year.
Oh, so, whoa. In New York, if you don't blow, they'll take your license away from you?
Yeah.
I was under the impression just don't talk to cops, period. And that's like the best move.
You can do that, which is the best move, to basically not make any statements that you had been drinking. People will always say, well, Joe, I'm not going to lie. I'm like, well, you're not lying. You're just not answering questions.
Yeah, plead
You
the
know,
fifth.
Jesus just stood there. You know what I mean? They kept asking him, are you the Messiah? He's just like, he's just quiet. All right. You don't have to lie. But at the end of the day, in New York, it usually is if it's your first time and you didn't hurt somebody, and if you didn't have a kid in the car, because that could be more problematic too, is having kids 15 and younger. They call that up there Leander's Law, DWI.
Okay.
So that it automatically becomes a felony. A first-time DWI can become a felony that way. But anyway, yeah, you generally want a lawyer that's going to challenge the validity of the arrest altogether.
Okay. All right. So I get into the DUI. I end up in jail. If I'm in jail, do I see your like magnet or something on the thing? How do I, or do they get released? When do people call you typically?
Usually the day after. Well, usually once they've been arrested, they find us online. They like Google DUI lawyers, or maybe they've seen our ads and stuff like that. And then they'll just simply call, be like, hey, I got a DUI, I need some help. Sometimes we're getting called as the arrest is happening. So, hey man, the cops just pulled me over. What do I do? And we're available.
Oh.
We're available 24/7.
Okay.
And those calls we connect over to our attorneys so that they can get in real time, for free legal advice.
Oh, wow.
Yes, if you're watching this, make sure that you just remember the number 833 DUI guys, and we pick up 24/7.
Damn.
Yeah. So we have an answering service that determines whether the person's in custody, and if they're in police custody, then they need to be transferred to our attorneys.
Wow. And all right. So 24 hours a day. How many of you are working? Do you have a whole squad? 10,
Yeah.
20?
Okay. Well, not 10, but yeah, there's a whole team picking up the phone.
And they're all in the US?
Oh yeah, they're all in the U.S. Everyone and we speak Spanish. Se habla español también.
Oh.
So we speak Spanish. Our answering service takes all that over, and and I speak Spanish, so I'm able to communicate with people.
¿Cuántos años tienes tú?
Yo, pues no voy a decir esto aquí en este podcast muy lindo. Pero sí, yo hablo español.
I know what you said, but I don't know what you said.
But I'm not revealing my age.
I got it. Yo soy aprendiendo a hablar español. All right, hold on
¿Cómo
one
estás?
second. My girlfriend's contacting me to go pick something up real quick. Give me 2 seconds.
Is it at the strip club?
It is not at the
Nah,
strip
I was going to
club.
come with you.
Boom. I'm just going to make a little thing. Lex. Boom. And then burner. Boom. Lex meet Mike. Lex needs to
Oh my God.
pick up for me. Perfect.
What are these questions for?
All right, so those cards, I think they came from Barstool Sports. It's called Answer the Internet, questions as fucked up as you are. One of the things that I like to do is have these available, and I say, pick a card, any card. Go ahead and read it off, and you can decide
Jesus.
whether or not you want to answer it or you want to pass it to me.
Oh, this is easy. Would you rather have a tiny hot leprechaun you could fuck whenever, or have a leprechaun's gold worth $250,000?
Am I drinking? So I'm going to answer it differently. How about you?
The pot of gold.
You're going to take the pot of gold?
You can buy a leprechaun then. Then you can have your own, and it doesn't even have
I don't
to
know
be
how
a
many
leprechaun.
leprechauns are out there. See, odd questions.
No, it's cool. I read one that was pretty crazy. It was like,
Would you rather have sex with someone who only washed between their knees and their belly button, or someone who washed from their knees down and the belly button up?
that's too much human geography. What?
Yeah, see, there's a lot going on in these questions.
Well, as long as they don't smell.
They're all also seem to be very sexual. The internet is.
Well, did you hear that Barstool Sports was rebought by, what's his name? The guy that came up. What's the guy's name from Barstool Sports?
I didn't know he sold it. I can't think of his name right this second. Portnoy.
Portnoy. Yeah.
Okay.
Dave Portnoy.
Dave Portnoy. Or
Yeah.
Dan Portnoy. Dave Portnoy.
He sold it for $500 million. No, excuse me, $500 million, $500 million, like a few years ago. Or maybe it was like 5-10 years.
How
I
much
don't
did he buy it back for?
know. $1.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
They ran it into the ground.
No, it's because it was like part of a bigger deal, like with Disney or something.
Okay.
So Disney did not want to, ESPN, Disney, didn't want Dave Portnoy associated in any way with one of the companies that purchased it. So they ended up just severing ties with Portnoy, and he bought Barstool Sports back. So he's back at the helm. And it's
what a boss.
Yeah, I was watching that a little bit of that on YouTube actually. So
I absolutely loved all of the drama that went down with him in the past couple.
Oh yeah.
I want to say, was that during COVID? When did that happen? Just after COVID.
Yeah. He was spending a lot of time in Syracuse, which is I spent a lot of my life up in that area, in upstate New York, in Syracuse, New York.
Okay. So you're from the cold.
Not originally. I'm from Hawaii. I grew up in Hawaii. And then when I was a little kid, my dad moved us out there because he was in the Army. And then I grew up there, graduated from high school there, and then I joined the military. And the first place I was stationed was in upstate New York.
Okay.
At a base up there. And it's Griffiths Air Force Base. Okay. It's shut down now, but...
You were in the Air Force, bro?
Yeah, 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was talking to one of the smart guys.
It's so funny. When I was in high school, I was in an ROTC program. We had a Navy ROTC program because there's tons of military kids. In Hawaii, there's obviously Pearl Harbor's there and all these other bases, Barbers Point and Hickam Air Force Base. There's tons of military kids. And we had one of the biggest junior ROTC units. So we would go to school in like our uniform, and we had a version of the Navy SEALs, and we had a drill team.
In high school?
Yeah, in high school. It's like, we're like Taps. You ever see the movie Taps with Tom Cruise?
No.
All right. It's a bunch of kids that are like military gung-ho. And I was all into that.
Oh, wow.
The reason I joined the Air Force is because they promoted me as soon as I joined because I had that background. And my basic training was only 10 days long.
Oh, all right.
So, yeah, so that was one of the reasons that I joined.
What'd you do while you were in?
I was a cop.
MD?
Well, in the Air Force, it's called security forces. Okay. But yeah, that's what, and I had no interest in doing that. I just picked an open general sort of position. I scored high on the ASVAB, but at that time, positions were like what I wanted in the field that I wanted. They really didn't have. They had them in the other branches of service. So the Navy guys wanted me, the Army guys wanted me, the Marines, they said, you can do anything. You scored well enough on the test. But the Air Force guy could give two shits. He didn't even come to my high school. He didn't do anything. I was like, I want to join the Air Force. And he was just like, yeah, we're all filled up.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, there's something there. These guys are like chomping at the bit to get me into their branch, but this guy could give two shits. Like I said, he didn't care. So I was like, I'm going to join the Air Force. And I think it was a good decision.
Hell yeah. No, it's absolutely, out of all of them, no offense, probably the best that you could probably.
But yeah, 6 years, have lifelong friends, learned a ton, was taught a lot about discipline. And I had a lot of that growing up anyway, because I was in the military. Or I had a military dad.
I was going to say, if your family was in it.
Oh, yeah. I was doing push-ups. I'm like, why am I doing push-ups? Why are you a drill sergeant?
You go to Syracuse, New York.
Yeah.
That's where you were deployed?
Well, I was stationed. Well, I was just stationed there. And then I was also stationed in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So there's a big facility there.
And then you moved back to New York?
Yeah. Okay. So I moved back upstate and then had a family there and raised a couple of kids.
How many kids do you have?
Two. Okay. Two grown kids now.
How adult?
My son is 24 and my daughter's 22.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Doing God's work, bro.
Congrats. Yeah. And they come down here all the time. They love it. It's like being on vacation.
All right.
Seeing all those palm trees. How about you? Are you going to have any kids?
Not yet. I want to.
Yeah?
But not yet. No rush.
Couple of headshots? Little baby headshots?
I asked if I could get my girl to take on the last name headshots, and she said no.
Well, it would be different for a girl.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're so right.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you thinking about maybe popping a question, getting married?
I shouldn't be talking about this right now, but yeah. Yeah, I've already looked at rings. I've looked at rings. I've talked to her about rings. But yeah, there's no immediate rush for us.
Well, from what I've seen, what you post on your Instagram with her, she seems awesome, really cool, and you guys get each other. Yeah. And that I think is the most important part of any relationship is...
It's a very honest relationship.
Dude, that's the best.
Super dope.
Because you're a type A guy. You're like a type A personality. You are... Look at all the stuff that you've done on your own. You know what I mean? It comes through discipline and a vision You're not just working out there for some other person. You're making good things happen for yourself.
I'm going to take all of that from you. Thank you.
Man. It's an observation and it's real. A players like to work with A players.
Danke.
Yeah, 100%.
I have another question for you.
Sure.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
The best piece of advice that I've ever received. I don't know. I think from my mom.
Okay.
And it's always to accept the present moment, because that's where the only place where you really have power. Because if you think about it, the past is as illusory as the future. And a lot of times I would sit there and I'd just get very worried about, is this going to happen? Is that going to happen for myself? My mom said, it doesn't necessarily matter what happens in the future, because it may not happen. And or it may happen, but it may not be what you expected it to be or feel. So be happy right now. Be satisfied right now. You can go and work for other things in your life, but accept the present moment. And all of your sutras, scriptures, they all point to that, the acceptance of the present moment, because your mind isn't necessarily always your thoughts. And I know that's a whole nother tangent, but you know, how can it be? Like, would sit there and say, I can't believe this person's saying that, or I can't believe she's wearing that, or whatever, right? And these are all critical things. And at the end of the day, your mind is sometimes can lead you astray. So like, you ever meet those people that say, I just can't stop. I can't shut off my mind. I'm always thinking, and they're proud of that. Well, Buddhists call that the monkey mind, the undisciplined mind, because what you really want is clarity. You want no mind. You want just to be. My mom was alluding to that many years ago, and she died a couple of years ago, but that's what always stuck with me.
Great advice.
Yeah, man, 100%.
You just said scriptures. Are you a very religious human?
Want to hear a funny story? My mom was a nun.
Okay. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah. She met, my mom's Colombian. She's from Bogota. And she said that she was a nun for like 12 years. And she saw my father, and she said she fell in love immediately and gave up her other husband, Jesus.
Oh, wow.
for my father. And
She threw me with that. I wasn't ready for the Jesus part.
well, they're married to the church if you're a nun.
No, but I wasn't ready.
Yeah. So that was her number one husband.
Okay.
So I grew up with a lot of but my mom was a really good storyteller. She almost spoke in parables, always telling me about the prodigal son and Samson and all the biblical characters.
I don't know any of it.
Oh man,
I'm just starting to read the Bible now.
It's incredible.
Okay.
It's something that, every time you read it will give you some new degree of understanding and spirituality, and something that will immediately can affect your life if you're there. Just open it up randomly and
That's
just start.
what I'm doing. I'm doing open randomness. I had another person on the podcast, Daniel Bedingfield, and he said, yeah, man, when I feel like I need it, I just open it up to a random thing, point, and read.
Yeah.
And so far, so good.
I like listening to a lot of, like, one of my favorites is Eckhart Tolle. He wrote The Power of Now and A New Earth. I love his stuff. A good friend of mine, she gave it to me about 15 years ago at this point, and I've listened to the audiobook literally over 100 times. And it's helped me a lot understand more of my own spirituality, because that's a cool thing, man. It's not really garnered for Christianity or Buddhism or whatever your religion is. It actually just helps you appreciate what it is that you've already been taught. So it's like a deeper understanding in your own thing. But yeah, religion, I think, is good for the masses, like going to the gym. But those that really excel are the ones that can really start doing a deep dive for themselves. So I don't necessarily need to go to church, I feel, in order for me to have God in my life. I pray every day. As a matter of fact, I pray throughout the day.
Oh, well.
God, give me strength. And not just asking for shit, but thanking God. And, it's weird,
No,
I guess.
Gratitude is the way to be. I am so thankful.
What's cool is there's different pastors. I love Joel Osteen. He's one of the most fit. They call him a mega church smiling pastor, but the guy is super humble, and you can tell he's just a sweet Southern guy from Texas, and always just speaks really sweetly. A lot of times you'll find himself like getting emotional because he never expected. For example, he always talks about how he never expected to be a pastor. He was always behind the scenes. His dad was the pastor. His dad was like John Osteen, and he was dynamic and fiery and great. And Joel was more humble and laid back, or quiet, reserved, and was always the tech guy. But when his dad died, Suddenly he had everyone's, Joel, you need to go and do this. And I haven't been to seminary. And for whatever reason, he mustered up the courage and had it within him to be able to not only pastor the church, but really grow it, man. It's a beautiful story. So there may be some haters out there that say, oh, he did this, that one. Hey, man, listen, no one's perfect. And I think he does a lot of good. So I'm a big fan of Joel Osteen's. And there's a Sirius channel, Osteen Radio, and I'll listen to the messages all day. Have for years.
Not to sidetrack, but I just thought about this concerning your business. How come your job exists? Like, why aren't lawyers able to just advertise?
Well, they can advertise. If you're wondering why I'm the conduit between the person and the attorney,
Yeah.
is a lot of times they don't come with that degree of sensitivity.
Okay.
They look at this as a very like a mechanic, like we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. And it's not the best way to land the client. So there is a business behind this. I'm not just a great guy that's going to sit there and shoot the shit with you about your DUI and drinking. Right. There, at the end of the day, there is a sale that is happening. So a lot of times people are giving me credit cards for 5-10 grand right over the phone within a 15-20 minute conversation. So there is a skill set to that. I've opened up over 30,000 DUI cases in my career of 18 years. So I know how to navigate through that. So if you have any attorney in the United States talk to these people, I'm still more likely to be able to get the deal as opposed to them.
Oh, wow.
But it's not from blue skying. It really comes down from a deep love for this person that I'm talking to. And they feel it. They can really like, Joe, I feel better. A lot of times, even when they're working with their attorney, I'll still get a text and be like, hey, man, I just wanted to reach out and say hi and stuff like that. So I have people just checking in on me.
That's what's up.
Yeah. After just a few minute conversation. And I take that to heart because I give a shit.
Yeah.
And sometimes if things don't go swimmingly for them, then I can put a little bug in the attorney's ear and say, hey, you know what? So-and-so needs a little TLC. Why don't you reach out to them? Or they haven't been able to reach you or whatever and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it all comes from a perspective of love, and the best salespeople, I think, have that. What's that line in Jerry Maguire where there's
show me the money?
Oh yeah, show me the money. No, well, that's the big one. Yeah. No, but it's like you can't sell anybody unless you love everybody.
Okay.
And I just really believe in that. Just lead with your heart. You have to be more interested in them than them in you. And I really am. That's the secret.
Easy breezy.
How do they find you?
Clients find me 6 years ahead of the game. So I'll have shot somebody 6 years before them. They'll have seen my Instagram 6 years before. I get clients. Most of my clients go, oh yeah, I've been following you for the last 4 to 6 years. And then they decide to work with me. So it's like just more branding or marketing. Because I'm not selling. The phone, it only comes in one way, and I only have my 2 standard headshots. I have a 3-light setup and a 6-light setup, and there's about $100 difference between the 2 of them. And you either get it or you don't.
You get the best headshots, and a lot of people, I think, that have seen your work, at least within my little circle, they're like, "Oh, he's using filters." I'm like, "No," I'm like, "That guy is just a master of lighting." And it looks so amazingly well. Can you do touch-ups and stuff? And yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
But when you took my picture, I was like, who's that guy? Everything just popped
lighting.
really well. Yeah, it's just good
lighting.
And obviously your skill set and being able to know what you're working with.
I learned from a guy named Peter Hurley. He runs a thing called the Headshot Crew. He's out of New York City, and he teaches the style of headshots that I learned. And then I also learned from a guy named Joey Wright, photography, or Joey Wright Photo, who just shoots swimwear here in South Florida. And those 2 guys really were like the big influences and really changed the game for me. And basically made me from a really struggling, not making it at all photographer that was shooting everything to focused and then business oriented. And the touch-ups for sure came from Joey Wright.
How did you find photography to begin with?
I started in the adult entertainment industry first, and then so I was doing video for adult entertainment industries, and then I was also shooting nonprofit videos for,
Mhm.
and then my girlfriend was a model and a makeup artist and a hairstylist, and she wanted me to take photos of her, but I was still doing video. And so what I did was I rented my location, my house slash studio, out to other photographers that would work with her. I watched them, and then one day video cameras became still cameras. And when that happened, all of a sudden I became a photographer.
Mm.
That plus my other friend Paul Miz put me in touch with the Fetish Factory. They're the ones who gave me my first still slash video camera. And then I started shooting nightlife and events. And that really is just, I fell in love with shooting girls in latex. And then after that, got involved with the Black Tape Project, where we took black electrical tape, applied it to the
I've
female
seen
body.
that's exploded.
It's huge. He's done it all over the world now.
How does he make money? Because he's just basically he's not selling
it's
a
art.
bikini,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's you're paying him for the art. I think he gets paid between, I was gonna say $800 to $3,000
Mm-hmm.
to put the tape on a girl. Plus, what we originally got paid for, it was a gimmick first, right? It was like our gimmick, and that's what got us into Playboy.
Mm.
And then once we got into Playboy, we could get other people into Playboy, and so he was making $8,000 a spread,
Wow.
and so 6 to 13 images. And yeah, that's what we were doing. That's how he makes his money. He makes his money through that. And then he also sells a trip that we started together called Paradise Challenge, which may or may not still be going on. It was going on last year.
What's that?
We fly out 50 models from around the world, typically to get published into magazines like Playboy, etc., Maxim, FHM, and put everybody in a place called Hedonism, which is located in Negril in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would bring or get photographers to pay. So photographers would come, models would come, girls that were coming up would pay. Models, photographers, and a location that allowed nudity,
Mm-hmm.
and put everybody together in the same place, and a little alcohol, and
That sounds amazing.
your dick will come out.
Yeah. How did I get here?
Your dick, some tits. It's just great. Hooked up with my first playmate ever from that trip, which was fantastic. Still friends to this day.
Is it someone famous? Well,
I'm not dropping names. But
is it Pamela Anderson?
I know. Oh my God. So that is the reason I got into everything. Pamela Anderson.
I saw her. I was still speechless to like how gorgeous she was in that first Playboy that I remember. Oh yeah.
Still hate it. I don't care if she's
She is beautiful. Very
anything.
beautiful lady. But yeah, I remember I was just like, I was in my early 20s or whatever, and I saw her and I was like, oh my God, this woman is just stunning.
How
Just
old are you? No, I already asked you
Yeah,
this in Spanish.
okay, I'm 50.
You're 50.
Yeah, I
Okay,
turned
cool.
50 this past year.
So what? How you said you were in your 20s.
Yeah.
That means I was.
I think I was in my
40.
20s.
Okay, so if you were in your 20s,
Yep.
that makes about sense. I was like 11 or 12 when I saw her in my first Playboy magazine. Man, that was. And then I ended up going and seeing her. I met her in real life, had her sign I don't know what it was, at the poster or something. I loved her and everything. I didn't know she could act. I just cared how hot and blonde she was. And ooh,
Is that your
ruined me.
type?
Not at all anymore. No, but I grew up in Pennsylvania. So
Where where?
Ambler, Montgomeryville, Plymouth,
Okay.
Meeting, King of Prussia.
Very cool.
Yeah. And I escaped the snow as quickly as I possibly could. As soon as I graduated, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Out of here. Once you got out of the Air Force, when did you get out of the Air Force?
97.
Okay. What'd you do?
Ooh, good question. I started personal training because I was in decent shape, and I always I was always really into health and fitness when I was in the military. And part of my duties was I was a flight fitness monitor, so I had to, like, if anybody didn't pass their tests or they were too heavy for Air Force standards, they'd come see me and I would whip them into shape. So I had a good understanding of that. So then I really liked helping people, so it was like a natural fit. So I personal trained back then and realized I didn't know anything about business or how to get new clients or anything. So I really sucked at it. But It's actually a funny story where I was personal training one client, and I just happened to mention to him, I was like, man, I got to make some more money, Sam. He was the sales manager for an NBC affiliate. And he goes, well, what do they pay you for personal training? And I lied. I was like, oh, I'm making 30 grand a year. And he's like, you'll make that in 6 months working for me. And I'm like, well, what do you do? He says, I sell TV. I'm like, you sell TV to who? What do you mean? And then he says, oh, to businesses. Come up tomorrow and we'll give you an interview. So I'm like super excited. And I tell my wife at the time, I'm like, Sam wants, I have an interview tomorrow. I'm going to be, and she's, well, what are you going to do? We'll sell TVs. And she goes, but what do you don't know anything about selling TVs? So this is my understanding. This is how dumb I am. And I go, yeah. And then she goes, well, why would he want you? I'm like, probably because I'm strong. I can carry big fucking heavy TV sets, right? So I go to the interview in a tracksuit thinking that I may have to show that I had to pick up like a heavy TV. No, dummy. I was an ad executive for the NBC affiliate, selling commercials and writing copy. Yeah, I got the job. I got hired. And I started doing that, and I loved it because they taught me about advertising. It taught me about how they measure households using television and different demographics, male, females, and how you place and buy in an order. So like when your advertisers come to you, there's a whole science behind it. Like, all right, Joe, I need 30 rating points of this and that. And I was working at NBC during the heyday of Friends and Seinfeld and ER, these monster shows that we would make a lot of money off of by just brokering the deals for the affiliates. And I was pretty good at that. So I worked at NBC and CBS for a few years, and then I managed a few radio stations as the sales manager. So it was fun. Like we put on rock shows and get to do all of that. But I was always like, I would do well for a couple of years, and then I'm like, all right, what's next? I want to eventually have my own agency. Like that would be my dream. And that's how I found that first lawyer that I told you about, that I teamed up with him. And he needed me to handle the leads because I started doing the advertising and marketing for him. We had him all over the radio and people were calling up, and he just couldn't field all the leads that were coming in. So he came up with the idea. He's like, why don't you take the phone? I'm like, people don't want to talk to me. They want to talk to you. You're the DWI guy. Like you're the one, right? And then he's, yeah, but I'm going to talk to these people 20, 30 minutes later, and then they don't have any money and I can't sign them. And then he was like, you should do it. And I was like, oh. So I needed the gig. I needed the money. So I was like, all right. So I went ahead and I did it.
I found that the best thing I ever did was put somebody in between me and everybody else. It changed the game for me completely. And that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I started with that guy. We went from a one-man shop to about a $4 million DWI defense firm in under 4 years. And then I started working with another attorney out of the Buffalo region, then New York City, then New Jersey. So I expanded my footprint up there, and then now here, all of Florida. Yeah.
Oh wow! And so, are you only working with specific attorneys, or can like attorneys apply?
We still have some areas that they can apply, but yeah, very specific attorneys. So right here in Fort Lauderdale, we work with Eric Clayman. So I'll have to have you meet. Oh my God, he's incredible. He's probably somebody that you'd want to have on as a guest as well. Yeah. He's really good. His TikTok videos, he doesn't put them up, but another guy does, and they go viral, hundreds of thousands of views. And yeah, the guy's he's just super. He'll tell you what to tell the cops specifically. Say this, don't say this, do this, do that, and explain things in a very intelligent way. But he dumbs it. Yeah, and he dumbs it down in the sense you can clearly understand what you need to do, because a lot of times this can be very confusing.
I get nervous as hell. I've been pulled over a handful of times, and for whatever reason I've never had a real hardcore problem, but I can't stop shaking. My legs just shake. If I was on stage telling a joke in front of Tony Hinchcliffe and trying to tell my legs would shake. And so,
but you're a dancer and all this other stuff. I've seen you break dance. And
I have a really bad, what's the word? Stage fright. Yeah, I choke a lot. And I've been, since I was in high school, I would break dance on stage for a talent competition. I've break danced for the Miami Heat. I've break danced everywhere. But breakdancing I can do if I'm like in my own zone. But if I'm trying to do like a routine or If I go on stage to try and sing like karaoke, the words are right there,
Mhm.
and I know the song, and I just
You have to
don't have it.
overcome that.
Some people have stage presence. If I just show up and shut up, I'll probably be in a better spot.
The bigger your stage fright, the more you have to give to the world. You know who had a really bad?
Where'd that come from?
Well, yeah, it just makes sense. Like it's the thing that you have to overcome in order for your gift to be exposed.
Hence this podcast.
Yeah. Who had a really bad stuttering problem, like as a kid, like really bad, could barely get 2 words out. James Earl Jones. He's the voice.
Darth Vader?
He's the voice of fucking Darth Vader and all that stuff. Like
And Bell Atlantic?
yeah, he's known for what? His voice.
Yeah.
His voice is so beautiful. But it was like he was in elementary school and it was like career day. You had to pick a career of something you wanted to do. And he basically told his teacher he wanted to be a stage actor. And everyone's laughing.
Shouldn't have been funny.
No, I know, right? But think of that. And the teacher encouraged him. And dude, do you see what I'm getting at is like, you have this gift. All you have to overcome is that dragon, that stage fright. Have you ever read the book by Stephen Pressfield called, he has 2 in this area. It's called Do the Work. And you've heard of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Well, this is a
Yes.
play on that. It's called The War of Art. So in the War of Art, we're artists, right? We go ahead and we develop businesses or whatever it is that you're trying to do to elevate yourself. Yeah, Stephen Pressfield. It's a great book, but in it he discusses how there's always in the universe there's this thing, man, trying to keep you from being your best self. When you're on stage, you probably have killer fucking shit to communicate that would make everyone like piss their pants with laughter. But that dragon, man, you have to slay it. You have to go and defeat it every single time you get on stage. There's a number of artists that throw up right before they go on stage and they just have to get it out. But how great would you feel if you had a set that killed?
First, I'd need to learn how to do comedy.
Well, isn't that what you're, yeah.
Well, no, it's not. I think it's just probably one of my things because who doesn't want to be funny? But also inherently, I know that my girl loves laughing. And if I could get up on stage and make her and everybody else laugh, that would be so tight.
What does she laugh at now with you?
With
Telling
me,
a story or?
it's probably just like little silly things that I do, or I make funny sounds or noises, or if there's a moment that happens naturally and I can be quick with the response to make it funny, I'm not going to be able to pull anything up right this
No,
second,
I know. I'm the same way.
but it's just like quick humor on the spot, or like we'll make fun of somebody or something to ourselves, right? Or we like to play a game where we figure out who people look like, right? So one of my other friends, Joey, likes to say I look like the Doomsday guy from Roger Rabbit,
Okay.
right? And so that made her laugh.
All
I
right.
got a little jealous.
Did you?
And I was like, I'm going to make her laugh from now on, right? So little moments like that where you can make other human beings laugh, it's just good for the soul.
But when the one that's closest to you like laughs at the stuff that you say, that's a really good feeling. Like when I make Kelly laugh, it makes, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Like a little piece of my soul just gets filled
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's the best.
Because there's all sorts of dimensions of being funny. You can be funny like satire, right? Or you could be cute funny sometimes and be like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
witty funny. So thought out. I want to. Here's the thing. I really would like to do is be able to tell good stories. I think I'm shitty at telling good stories, and in order for me to be able to do, hold on one second. I just got this. They bought me. I'm good at marketing. Marketing is my best.
no, yeah, you're very good at that.
But storytelling, I joined a thing called BNI Millionaires. That's a
Business
group
Network
of-
International,
Yep.
yeah.
And so I did it because I'm bad at public speaking.
It's a large cigarette box. Oh,
And so inside of it, it's supposed to be able to teach you how to tell better stories. And so one of the things I'm working on right now is trying to get good at telling stories, because I find that I don't necessarily have the best. One of the things I don't have is the best memory, but I don't have stories up on cue.
Right.
And I think the people that I'm drawn to the most when I'm out at events are really good at telling stories or pulling up cool little facts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I am very uncomfortable with. Had I just seen you out at the bar or a function like the Tower Club,
Mm-hmm.
trying to mingle with you is so uncomfortable. Not you in particular,
Right.
but trying
In
to
general.
mingle with other people who I've never met. It's so hard for me to try and pull things. And I'm a very charismatic human.
No, you
and,
are.
And people will come up and they'll talk to me. But then how do I keep this going without making it sexual? I think is probably the biggest thing. Is I'm really good at bringing everything to funny sex.
Okay.
But I'm also aware that that's not good for the next generation. So if I become the old guy who's
Right.
doing sex jokes still, it's not going to work so well.
Well, I think maybe what you fail to realize, and I view you in this light, is that you're a superstar. Like you have this really nice aura about you where you're in the know.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I was like, yeah, you're in the know of shit. You know a lot of things, and whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I think
I'm selling it really
no,
good.
yeah, 100%. You're in the know. You have this sort of thing about you that just says people come to you because they're drawn to you. Your height's an advantage. You're a good-looking man. People are going to approach you, and they're going to be like
But then I'm
wanting.
stuck having to talk to somebody who.
But that's okay because the dynamic is really to flip it back over to them
Yes.
because
right.
people do like to talk about themselves.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get better at asking questions.
But I mean, I feel like you can learn from anyone, from the homeless guy in the street. And I look at these poor guys every day when I'm driving to the gym. I'm like, they probably know like where the best place to stand is and who gives the best tips or what sort of people do that tips, handouts,
you're
donation,
right.
or whatever. They probably know who, if they're addicted to
right
drugs.
sign.
Yeah. Or where they're going to go to score or whatever. They probably, oh, you don't do that here. They have their own zone of genius, albeit it's bad. So you can learn something from everyone. And it's usually like finding that out from that person. And then sometimes you just meet people that are just like, okay, I guess that's about as deep as they went.
I'm afraid I'm that guy.
No, but you're not. How
But-
can you be?
I don't know, but it's my fear, right? And so that's the thing I'm trying to get over or trying to get past is that I feel like part of the reason for this podcast, again, same thing, is like I shoot everybody from porn stars to politicians, and everybody has some sort of information that I could probably learn to get better. And so when I talk to the next person, just like I was talking to Daniel Bedingcore about the Bible, right? And how that's slightly influenced my life. And now talking to you, I'm going to make sure that I follow this lawyer and keep your phone number in my head just in case I end up drinking. But also the level of deepness that you can get with a person, it doesn't normally happen when you go out to these functioning social
Right.
things. It's very
That's true.
top level. But for other people, they're able to like just hop right into stuff. And so I guess I want to figure out how to be able to get towards that. And I think that comes probably more with hobbies, right? Because I'm like not really into sports. Are you into sports?
Somewhat. I like to play sports. I watch a little bit of it.
And that I find is what most people, when I go out, they all end up talking about sports to be able to like
Yeah.
tennis, golf, all of these things that like I'd love to be able to be in, but I don't like playing them. So therefore, I'm not going to be able to talk about them.
You just need a good circle, I think. I agree with you. I mean, there's only, and when somebody's talking sports or MMA or whatever with me, I'm like, oh, okay.
MMA is dope.
Yeah.
I got that one.
Yeah, I love MMA, but I don't know all the star people. They're like, oh, that's Khabib or that's whomever. I'm like, oh, all right. Oh, he's really good at this.
Sean
And he's good at,
O'Malley.
yeah, exactly. So that's a whole nother thing, but I appreciate it. If I watch it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I learn, but I think that don't forget that one of the most best things that you can do is to give without expectation. Just give your knowledge and love and don't expect anything in return, I think, and I think that's a good principle to live by.
Speaking of which, did you start doing your stories or?
Oh, the thing is to use this as a platform, and then I'm going to be doing
You're
more
gonna start
stories.
doing
Yes, I'm going to
stories.
follow your advice and be on
Okay.
often. at least 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I figure I'm going to be posting. And
3 times a day.
3 times a day? All
You
right.
should be posting 3 times a day stories of people. Give me another story. Tell me about another. Yeah, give me another one. Yeah, pull
You
it
know
up.
what it is? I can pull
Yeah,
a
pull
lot
one
of
up.
stuff. But the thing is that there's so many stories that I've heard over the years that it's almost, they all become a blur.
Cool.
What I remember are,
So then every day now you get new phone calls every day.
yeah, every day is a tragedy. Every day somebody's going through their worst
Tell
friggin-
that story.
Yeah.
Like you did today, which
Yeah.
was the stripper, right?
Right.
Right. So I mean, that's
Exotic dancer.
Exotic dancer. Sorry.
What's the difference between exotic and just stripper? Yeah.
I
I
think
told you
it's the
about
amount
the
of
kid.
clothing.
Yeah.
In Florida, we have strippers. In New York, they're exotic dancers.
I prefer the stripper.
I would not like to live anywhere else but Miami or Fort Lauderdale or West Palm Beach.
Yeah, another guy reached out to us, owns a pizza shop. And at times, the poor guy's got to make deliveries and do all that stuff himself. And same thing, can't have a DUI. Getting into Canada is a problem if you have a DUI on your record, whether it's here in
You mean
Florida.
just driving into there?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, they won't let you through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they'll be like, you got a DUI in Florida? They won't let you in.
What other problems come from getting a DUI?
Primarily in most states, it's part of a permanent criminal record. Here in Florida, if you get a DUI, it stays with you forever. So there's no such thing as an expungement. Like you can't have it removed off of your record. It stays there forever. So that sucks. So if someone Googles your name or they do a background search or you're professionally licensed, like you're a doctor or a nurse or whatever, that's a big scar. That's a big red flag. That's something that you don't want. Usually it's punishable up to a year in jail. At least in New York it is. Here in Florida, like I said, based on what it is that you blow and whether or not you have a kid in the car, that can affect things. But usually it's like up to 9 months in jail. The fines are normally up to about $1,000 for a first time. They also make you install a breathalyzer in your car for a year called an ignition interlock device, which sucks because you have to pay $600 to install this stupid device. And then every 7 minutes of operation, you have to blow into the machine.
Oh, wow.
So imagine you have a car full of people, like your kids are in there and, oh, mommy's got to blow into the machine. Like, how awful is that? But yeah, and that happens with a first-time DUI conviction.
You said they go to jail for how long? Up to
9 months. They can.
What-
It's unlikely that a first-timer with no priors, though, is going to jail. Usually a good lawyer should be able to prevent that.
How do you pay your mortgage when things like that happen?
You don't. You lose your home. Yeah. Or how about the call where we get like a CDL licensed driver? They drive tractor trailers and their mortgage and their whole family is. And what I find is this, though, a lot of our clients are going through some sort of separation at the time.
Oh, wow.
And I talk about this in one of the videos that I did, which was that if you are going through a breakup and you're a guy primarily. So when I was married, I'd be lucky if I'd get once a week, like a poker night or a boys' night kind of thing, right? So let's say that 4 times a month, I may be able to get a DUI, right? But now if you're going through a separation and you start going out, Friday nights, Saturday nights, any other time, you pretty much doubled or tripled the amount of times that you could get stopped. So it's just simply math that exponentially you're going to get stopped. So a lot of our clients are going through a breakup, and alcohol is a real issue. And that's the other thing is that I have a little saying that I came up with that a DUI a lot of time is a symptom of what's going on in that person's life, but not really just the problem. It's not just that they got a DUI. It's because, you're drinking a shit ton almost on the daily, and therefore you're going to get stopped. And we deal with people with real addiction issues. Not just that, Chris, but people that, get a DUI. They're arrested for it, and within a week, 2 weeks, a month later, they're getting another one while that other one's still going on. We have those sorts of clients too, man. But yeah, we're talking about addiction. And sometimes it's not just that. A lot of times it's heroin, it's cocaine, it's marijuana.
Is there a addiction place that you suggest they go to?
Yeah. And when, we are looking for those sorts of partnerships, but that's something that we're looking to go ahead and be of service to help as well.
I just shot a whole bunch of them today.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Let's talk. That's why I said, tell me about that. Cause that'll be good, man.
Dude, is there any questions that I didn't ask you that you would have liked me to have asked you?
I think we covered a lot of stuff. I just want to come back and do this again, man.
Yeah, let's do this another time as well.
Maybe we do it at a bar.
I think that you should definitely be doing
Stuff at the bar. I know you said
at
that.
the bar. You should be telling stories or even maybe reenacting, right? I mean, I'm just trying to think of like, how do you make it educational? But I feel like if you just tell me about how much people lose,
Yeah.
like the losses that you could go through if you didn't, what happens if you don't hire an attorney?
Then you're going to have everything thrown at you. And it's usually worse. And judges normally will want you to be lawyered up, because if you don't have counsel, then the likelihood that that case can be reopened because you didn't have counsel is a real thing for them. So a lot of times they'll tell you, they won't even listen to you. They'll be like, Chris, come back with an attorney. And if you have you ever played like a card game or a poker game or something like that,
Sure.
where you don't understand the rules? Well, that's how somebody is in court. They don't know what the F is going on. Now, there's two ways to look at it when this happens. When you're playing a game like this, you're either messing up the bets because you don't fully understand, so you're pissing off the judge. The judge is like, this idiot doesn't know what's going on. And or the other opponents are looking at it like, good, he doesn't understand, I'm going to take all of his money. That's what the prosecutors a lot of times are doing. Does that make sense? So you're totally in the dark. So yeah, you definitely want to get lawyered up. Even if you don't work with our guys, you want to find somebody that's normally a part of the National College for DUI Defense. That's a good organization, a good staple to find a highly skilled attorney. And yeah, our guys are that, obviously.
Shout yourself out.
Joe Sanchez with DUI Guys, 833 DUI Guys. Just spell it out and you'll get us.
Copy that. Dude, thanks so much for coming
Dude,
through.
love you. Thank you, brother.
Buddy.
Appreciate it very much, man. This was great.
Hell yeah. Let's see. What time is it? 9:39.
Ooh, hour and a half.
About a half hour longer than normal.
I think, yeah, you're just easy to talk to, man.